All right, hard yarners. Today we were joined by Big Don of Big Don's Meats. But before we get onto what we spoke about, today's episode is brought to you by alltradescover.com.au. If you're watching at home, you see behind our guests there, their logo. All Trades Cover will cover you. Do you need coverage actually yourself? Do you think you need some sort of insurance with what you do?
Oh, mate, I pay a lot in insurance.
Yeah. Well, maybe hit up All Trades Cover. If you're a big business, small business, or medium-sized business, specifically in trades, they're going to be able to cover you. Definitely going to be able to give you a competitive quote. And what they are, they're not just the suits. They're guys who have been tradies in the past. Not all of them, but most of them have been tradies and trades assistants. They understand what you're trying to get insured. They know the pitfalls. They know the areas in which you can get into trouble. And there's also been in the insurance game for quite a while, so they know what to do, who to contact, and how to set you up so you're not going to get fucked over when it comes to your insurance. So hit up All Trades Cover. They're good people. Drop our name. They've been getting a lot of business through us, so that's great. Or Elliott Insurance is probably who you'd want to go through when it comes to a business. Give them a cheeky little plug there for their sister, brother business, whatever you want to call it. This episode is also brought to you by Crafted Finance. They're great when it comes to anything when it comes to finance. It comes to, I guess, your home loans, car loans, assets, super. Like they're able to really give you a good idea of what you're doing with your finances. And if you're going to get a loan with them, and they're going to present you with all the options. So they're not just going to go, right, Big Don, I want your business. I don't give a fuck what interest you're going to be paying. Here's what is going to get you that loan. They're going to present you with all the options so you can make your decision, whether it's a small amount of interest or a large amount of interest over the term of the loan. They're going to present it to you. They want you to succeed, not just for them. So get involved with Crafted Finance. The link is in our bio and in our show notes. And you can head to their website, and they're good people. They're like-minded and just want to help. But we were joined by Big Don. What a good chat. We spoke a bit of meat, but what did we speak about?
Yeah, I mean, a touch on meat, I guess, but probably local politics, niche WA, and maybe a bit of Bigfoot.
Yeah, a bit of small business stuff as well, and how we can make change, even like our own personal growth when it regards to like health and sleep and what we eat, everything. Like our phone addictions, a lot came up, mate. So
that's good, man. It was a good chat, very healthy chat.
Thanks so much for joining us, and without further ado, let's get hard.
Welcome to Hard Yarns Podcast.
I am fucking fat.
Anything Chris White says, please disregard it.
5D is actually a state of being. It's a unity consciousness.
That was Hard Yarns with me, Frankie Rose. So I'm going to throw it over to your co-host,
Daniel Delby.
And Cameron Branch.
I would do this and then I'd gong.
Free in attendance for the millions listening at home. Let's get hard.
All right, mate. Thanks so much for joining us. I really appreciate your time. This is only your second podcast, did you say?
Yeah, second time. I mean, thanks for having me, Cameron. I appreciate it, man. I mean, I just said no to media. I think I've been going 8 years.
Yeah.
And whether it was TV, radio, or anything, I said no because I didn't even post my own photo on my social media till this year, and now I've done all this stuff.
Mate, I seen you like 2 days ago on a post, and I was like, oh, that's what he looks like. I did not know, had no idea what you look like.
There was a bit of a joke because there's one of the boys on the team, Big Matty, who's like 6'9".
Yeah.
And everyone was always at gigs back in the day like, that must be Big Don back there. And I'd be cleaning the tables and be like, how's your food? Yeah, that's him. Go say hi. And people would go up to him.
Yes. Yeah, that's good. But you're just giving the vegans another reason to hate on me. And I was saying to you before, like I'll talk with anyone and people I disagree with. And fuck, man, last week, 2 weeks ago, I had Jack Higgs and Tash Peterson. I'm sure you're aware of those two. We've had Tash on as well before.
Really?
But yeah. So we had Tash on like 3 years ago. I think 4, maybe a bit longer.
What was that one like?
Yeah, well, look, it's great. Like, and this was the thing. Like, she was very reasonable, really nice in person. Like a real cool person. Was able to do skits and stuff with her. And she started attacking me the other day after having Jack on and calling me an animal abuser for hosting a conversation between someone who eats meat and someone who doesn't. I was trying to bridge the gap, and Mate, the hate I got from the vegan community. Like,
Really, I didn't see that. It's funny because
I only put one clip up and then I was like, nah, fuck, no more.
everyone said since the start, they're like, when's Tash going to come out and attack your business?
Yeah.
And I'm like, mate, she's not going to know how to buy a fucking ticket anyway.
Mate,
We don't even give the address. Like, good luck.
Mate, there's zero chance she'd show up to someone like you. Would probably have a bit of a crack back, I'd assume.
We just throw steaks at her.
Yeah.
We just be like, it'd be
Yeah.
hilarious. If they really wanted to come on, I'd probably organize parking, help them out, because it would be hilarious.
Yeah. Well, I'd probably do, well, I mean, I don't know if you need any more marketing. You've self-built this, and that's what's fucking incredible. Actually, so I guess, because there might be people over in the States or Canada, I guess, that you got, well, actually, we've got a global audience. So maybe explain who you are and what you do and why you're on, I guess.
Yeah, thanks, man. I mean, Don, it's Big Don Smoked Meats is the restaurant. I grew the business from my backyard. So we were 2016. I started cooking brisket and barbecue a lot, and I thought I was a bit late to the party, but it turns out like that was just when it was trending among guys our age, right? Like, my demographic is definitely like middle-aged blokes.
Well, I think you've probably come on the right podcast.
And it just grew out of my yard, and we got busted by the city of Victoria Park in 2017 because we started having barbecues in the yard because I got my first commercial smoker on a trailer.
Yeah.
And so, I'd have 10 or 15 mates by, and by like the third or fourth one, like there's 30 or 40 people coming, and like half of them I don't know.
Yeah, wow.
And back then it was like 40 or 50 bucks a head for basically all you can eat barbecue, because I just needed to like pay for the meat.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to keep practicing and keep cooking. So I'd just be like, cool, I need 30 or 40 people. I'll cook enough for everyone. And then I get to enjoy this like hobby.
Yeah.
And by about the fifth or sixth one, I was like, shit, I'm making like $500 or $600 for each of these. This is great.
Yeah.
And that was the one where the council got me, and I had a $30,000 fine. So.
Yes.
I always thought there'd be plausible deniability, right?
That's right. Yeah, my local barista, like he's big fan of your food, and he brought it up, and he said you got a $30,000 fine. What that's?
I mean, it was. I think they were trying to make sure that I was used as an example at the time, right? Because like this is pretty common in the UK. Like you can go and buy a curry from someone's house, or there's in Liverpool. There's known for a street where people will serve food as you're heading to the game. This is common in LA. Like this is street food scene, which I get. It's a bit sus and dodgy for sure. But I think they were trying to make a point, because, Australia, if there's one thing in 21 years as an Australian now that I've learned, is that Australia does love a bit of bureaucracy.
Oh, you reckon? I guess you're on the right podcast when it comes to that one. But so what was it? It was like operating without some sort of license?
Just we were an illegal kitchen, so we were unregistered food business.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the fines are big. I remember
That's a
thinking,
huge fine, man.
Yeah, I remember thinking at that time that was more than I had in my bank, and I was thinking, maybe I'll run back to Canada and just like fuck this, because I'd just broken up from like a long-term relationship. I was kind of like in between. I'd taken a redundancy at work. I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Turns out like 32 at the time, I'm 40 now. 32 is a good age to be an entrepreneur, because my wife Louisa, I met her now. I met her 8 years ago, just as this was starting. And so she meets me and goes, oh, you're doing this barbecue and you're doing pop-ups. Like, oh, what a great hobby. And, we have 2 kids now. We have a 6-week-old as well. So
awesome.
I'm not getting much sleep. But
well, again, thanks so much for coming then if you're doing that.
But, she supported at the right time. She's like, I love what you're doing. But if I said to her today, like, I'm going to quit my job and I'm going to start cooking barbecue in the yard, you'd be like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Right? So
yeah,
it was like timing of your life to be an entrepreneur, where everything kind of just was open to actually give it a crack, was really key.
Well, don't you think, because it was about 30 years old when I decided to change things up, leave sheet metal. I was a welder, and I decided to get into media, videography, podcasting.
Oh, look at this now, man. This is the most professional setup. I mean, it's amazing.
I know everyone says it's really good, but it's taken a while to build that, obviously, and it takes a lot. But I don't think I could have got through it, and probably similar to what you're saying, if I was a bit younger. I wouldn't have had the knowledge that I've got, the resilience. I went through some challenging times as well through that whole period, because it does take a lot to build a business or even a podcast. And so I guess having the support of a partner would have been fucking incredible.
It was just perfect timing in my life for everything to line up. Because like in your 20s, I remember a quote online somewhere, which was like, in your 20s, you should shut up and learn. Like in your 30s, like you can have a crack at trying something. In your 40s and 50s, you're going to teach the next generation of people. And I can feel it, because now that I'm getting a little older, I'm like, I'm much more conservative with my, like, I'm pretty risk-taking personality in terms of business, and I'm pretty boring in every other way, to be honest. But like, business is like ADHD brain. Like, it's fun to like think up business models and scheme. And so now I have kids, like, I just wouldn't take these risks anymore. And so it's, it was just lucky timing. And the business is, so the barbecue joint is so strange of a business model because we open 1 day a week. So it's kind of the Snows in Lexington, Texas barbecue model, which is the Tootsie, the 90-year-old pitmaster that you see on Netflix. So they open Saturday only at 8 a.m., which is a bit early for me for barbecue. But so we open 1 day a week. We might do some Fridays. We do a bit of, catering and classes and stuff. But basically the Saturday only vibe is so that everyone on my team can have a work-life balance. Like, we have 10 full-time chefs, and we don't call ourselves chefs, like just cooks. And so, everybody has a work-life balance, goes home and puts their kids to bed at 4:35 every day during the week. That. Like, we do one huge gig, and now on the Saturday we're serving 2,000, with the Friday maybe 2,400 kilo of meat. And that would, knowing the size of the Texas barbecue joints, the only ones that are beating us for volume or sales or anything is Franklin's, Terry Black's, because they have quite a few locations. The big name franchises sort of things. That's basically it. So we're the biggest barbecue joint in the world outside of Texas.
And it's just organically built.
Well, it was kind of rejected. Like, we're on your podcast, and like, I rejected all media for years. Because people wanted to chat or like interview or something, or, I just wasn't interested. And I wanted to grow only by word of mouth. So because you have to pre-order in advance, and I'm not willing to cook $20,000 of meat and have it rain. Because you have to pre-order in advance on social media. The only way to figure it out is if someone tells you. Or you have to watch for a while. You could figure it out. But usually the way it grows word of mouth is that someone goes, "Oh, have you heard of Big Don's? Here's how you order." And they pull out their phone and go, "Here's their Instagram. Here's how you do it." And that conversation grows it. Probably the same way as like
that's
a podcast.
Exactly how I found out about you guys and what was going on down there. And then my partner, they order your platters all the time. So,
thanks,
mate, I think my first experience was only this year. It's taken me a while to get on board because you guys are a fair way away from
over in Bayswater.
So it's not too far away, but I'm Kingsley. I'm north, so it's a bit of a way out of the way. And so my partner gave me, what was my first experience? I feel like it was sausages or something. There was something well made anyway, and I was like, fucking hell, it's pretty good. So I can attest to the quality of your meats.
Thanks, man.
But to build it from scratch is incredible. But you talk about the small business thing, you talk about the money obviously must sometimes, like, I don't know if I love seeing it, or I don't know if it's provocative, like it's just causing you more dramas, but you'll come back at these people who go, "Oh, you're charging so much," or you put your financials up there. And do you think that's the best way to do it? Like, just fucking go at them head first?
I have a rule of thumb when I respond on social media is a couple of rules. One of them is always respond with the same energy you get. So kindness begets kindness. If you're a 9 out of 10 cunt, you're going to get treated like a 9 out of 10 cunt. You are going to get the same back, because this is not a service industry. I'm not here to eat shit. I'm not asking my staff to eat shit from anyone. You get what you give. And that kind of goes for probably life in general, but that's been my rule of thumb in life and certainly on social media. I tried to emulate the Bell Tower Times, who he chats to me all the time now. That was cool when the Bell Tower Times started following me and we just started having a chat. I think I made it in person. And you don't know who's behind that brand. And he responds in the way that he responds. And that was kind of how I viewed it. This is how I want my brand to look. And it's why I didn't show my own face for 6-7 years at events. But then on the flip side, you respond to people, putting them in their place if it needs to be, or politely correcting them if they need to be. But then at our events, like, the customer service we give is 10 out of 10, I think. Like, I go down the line and I chat to everyone as they are waiting to get served, like have a beer with them. I go by and check on everyone. How's your food? Like, my replies online I'm always online giving a response as best as I can, and messages and questions. And like, you only get one opportunity to make a first impression. The old expression. And it's the same in hospitality. And Australia, again, somewhat lacking in hospitality, like that. Like, being Canadian, like, North American hospitality and restaurants is definitely better.
Yeah.
With the tipping culture. So it was just trying to bring that. And I like to have a yarn. Like I like to chat to people.
A hard
just,
yarn.
yeah, exactly. And go around and, chat at the tables. And so that's, for me, it's like not work. That's the fun part.
Mate,
they kicked me out of the kitchen. My team was like, get the fuck out. You're too slow. You talk too much.
Really?
Yeah. And then
your own kitchen.
Yeah. And there's Jonesy, one of my longest term members of the team. And he kicked me out of the kitchen and was like, just go talk to them in line, mate. You're too slow on the till. Yeah. And all of a sudden sales were double and we were faster. And I'm like, all right.
This makes
I'm
sense.
not really much of it. Like I've never worked in a kitchen before. So everything we've done has been self-taught or someone's taught us.
Yeah.
And so really I'm more of like maybe a marketing guy. Like, I fell in love with the ADHD brain of brisket and barbecue. So I know how to cook that well. I think but I'm not bored of it, but I certainly have had my fill of like all night barbecue cooks.
Yeah.
But the marketing of the business and the falling in love with a different aspect of your business, as time goes on, it has probably been the part I've enjoyed.
Yeah. Is that where it's at now? So it's a beast of its own now. Is it more like how can I have fun with this and experiment with creative content and stuff like that?
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, I'm not the biggest like content creator. Like I always did a lot of like I'm 40, man. Like putting up stories on Instagram is like putting up a PowerPoint presentation. That's like in my wheelhouse from my old life,
Yeah.
But like making high quality content I want to go down that road a bit with YouTube and.
Well, I think what you're doing already with regards to like what's on, and showing, what the platters have and how it's done and how it's cooked and stuff. That's really good as it is. I think it's pretty high quality, to be fair.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I mean, it's not always the best looking content, but like we try, I try to speak to the camera. I used to do a lot of cooks from my yard like 4 or 5 years ago, and my face would be in that then, but it'd be like, here I am cooking, this, and I'd do 100 stories and max out the number of stories. Turns out that's the max number. It's 100 on Instagram.
Oh, really?
And it would just be like the entire brisket cooking process.
Yeah.
And on the last story, I'd have to switch to my backup account, which was like Big Don's Barbecue, and it just followed PETA and myself. And it was like, that's when you're a super fan, because there's only like 1,000 people out there that follow that, and they really wanted to know how to cook a brisket.
Oh my god, shit, yeah.
But it was just like yourself, like it's just have fun with social media, and see what you can grow your business into, and sometimes it might be controversial, or you might, post something that people don't, it's a bit rude or something, but like. At the end of the day, I think we're putting out a good product.
Yeah.
We have great service, and it's grown this way because of trying not to follow any sort of traditional rules. Yeah. Because like I don't want to work in a kitchen on Wednesday at 11 p.m. doing dishes.
Yeah.
I don't want my staff to have to do that. Like traditional hospitality fucking sucks, man.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Mate, and again, my local barista will listen, and he can attest, and he's known locally within our area, Reed White & Co. It's a very loyal group of people that go to that coffee shop.
Yep.
You do get the passerbyers, and so sometimes with the passerbyers, the people who just rock up and want a coffee, and they're arseholes, he will treat them the same way you do. Like if they're an arsehole, you give it to them back. He's actually recently, and I don't know if he's stolen this idea from someone or not. I can't remember. He was telling me about it the other day. He's getting a heap of Dome vouchers, and anyone who's an arsehole is going to go, here you go, here's a voucher, go to Dome. Thanks very much. Fuck off, basically. We don't need someone like you treating my staff or myself like that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give away his trick there, but I don't think the vouchers are real, so they're going to go to Dome and go, oh, fuck. But you don't need to treat these people like that. They're a small business. They're barely getting by the skin of their teeth. Their margins are so small, as you've shown as well.
Yeah, I mean, I posted them last financial year. I posted our full numbers, financials, because I was like, I've found that the buy-in for the business, the patience people have with maybe waiting for an hour to get their barbecue, is helped by understanding where we're coming from, right? Like when you explain the work-life balance that my team has, the margins. Why are beef ribs $69 for 2 beef ribs? Like, here's what they cost.
Yeah,
and it's like you work that out and you show that to people, and they go, yeah, all right, damn, that makes sense. Like people are smarter than they're given credit for.
Oh yeah,
and they want to support, and they go, and then they become your biggest supporters online anyway. Like half the time, there's people that just jump in and respond on our behalf when someone says something negative, and I always knew that I had to do it my way, had to do it the way I enjoyed and be myself. Because as soon as I worked in a corporate job 12, 13 years, and if I felt like that asshole again, like I just don't want to do that. They
Yeah.
have to do it the way that makes you comfortable.
That was definitely what was happening with this podcast and other things, but it was, let's build this organically, slowly. And I said at the start, it's taken us nearly 7 years to build to this, and 3 years of eating shit, getting nothing, but just being staunch and no, this is what we want to do. This is how we're going to do it. And even though it took longer doing it like that, instead of getting on this trends bandwagon or trying to do hooks and stuff like that for your content, like just go, no, this is who we are. This is how it is. Like, it's going to build organically. And now that following is loyal. And it's similar to you. They're just loyal customers. It's built organically. They're not leaving. And I see that with a lot of influencers. They'll jump on a trend. They'll get 1 million followers. And then after that trend's done, they'll be like, oh, well, I don't know why I follow you anymore. So either unfollow or just not engaging with your content.
They wouldn't have even, their followers half of them would be fake anyway.
Well,
this influencer thing is so obnoxious, right? Like we would get influencers messaging us asking to come and have some free food, and they'd always say it in some way like, oh, why don't we collab together? And I just reply like, I'd be like, what do you cook? Like, yeah, come on down and cook something. Yeah. And then they'd be like, no, like a collab. And I'd be like, oh, I don't understand. Like, you just want them to say it so then I could post it and be like, fuck off, mate. Like, I mean, organic growth is really, really key, I think, because those are going to be people that understand your business, are supportive. They're going to tell others. And, it's like the Warren Buffett quote, like, get rich slow. Like, people want to get rich quick. They want to be an influencer, whatever, have followers quickly and have their business be successful quickly. Yeah. It's like, it's not possible. And I always used to worry that someone would copy our business model, because it's like, it's pretty straightforward, order in advance, come and collect it. But, it's to build up that level of trust where, we've served 100,000 people in our restaurant. We've only been in the restaurant 3 years. It was the food truck and pop-ups before that. 100,000 people have paid money and come and seen us and didn't get the address till after they paid. Like, there's a level of trust they have to have with you and your brand for them to do that. Mate,
it's so cool because it becomes a thing as well. It's that having a small amount of something, like making it a special event. Like, and I say this to Delby with his comedy, if he's going out hosting quiz nights, he's not here today, he's doing comedy in Edinburgh, which is what he should be doing. But if he's going out hosting quiz nights every night and then the next week he's hosting a show at Astor Theatre, a lot of those people are going to go, well, this isn't as a special event as possible because I can go see you at a local pub with 20 other people. So if you make it a little bit more, what's the word, less times out in the open and make it a more of a special event, people are going to flock because they want that one time.
Well, there's a lot of psychology or just little 1%ers in like the business that probably most people don't think about. And a couple of things that you mentioned. One is like, if you go by a restaurant, it's empty. It could be the best restaurant in the world, but you're like, I'm not going in. If you go by and there's a bit of a line, you're like, oh, what's this? Like, this looks really good. And, although there's the staff balance and the pure cooking, like today is Wednesday and we all started yesterday. So we're only making sausages today. Like there's 500 labor hours that go into a service before we even open the door.
Yeah.
Like huge prep. And so we need time to do that, and all of those little things about making an event on a Saturday, like we have live music, we managed to keep the waits to 60 to 90 minutes on a Saturday or like 20 minutes on a Friday. But we try to make it really fun. Yeah. And it all started basically with probably COVID before 2020, but before, just when we started with social distancing and stuff, we did a few of those at Main Liquor in Belmont where we would just pull up the food truck and we'd say, we're open now. We don't do pre-orders back then. And 50 cars or utes would turn up. People would order. They'd sit on the back of the tray. They'd have a beer. They'd eat their barbecue.
Yeah.
We started getting a guy playing music in the back of a truck. Sick. And we were like, this is awesome. Like, this is a vibe.
Almost like a, what do they call it in America when they go...
Tailgating.
Yes, tailgating.
And that, obviously, that's a concept that people understand, but for movies, right?
Yes.
And so it's like bring your own chair. And then when we moved into our space in Bayswater, like we're in an industrial area, you can only be in the planning schemes a lunch bar or a fast food venue. Yeah. Okay. So we could only be a lunch bar with 20 seats.
Yeah.
Which meant we could only legally put out 20 seats. But I remember being in 2021, 2022, and I was chatting to the council in a meeting, and I was like, So what if I can't get more seats? They're like, no. And I tried all these things. I was like, what if they bring their own seats? And the council was like, you're going to ask your customers to bring your own seats? And these planning guys. And I was like, yeah. And they just literally laughed. And I was like, fucking oath I am. And it totally, like, people.
And they were fine with that?
Well, because it doesn't count against your capacity to your seating plan.
Really?
Because we have more than enough square meterage, parking space, but we can only put out 20 physical seats.
So it's like a picnic sort of thing, like bring your,
It's not that we're trying to make it like hard on people, you know, and like BYO chair, BYO whiskey, but we just leaned into it and said, man, we'll always be BYO.
Yeah.
Like, drink whatever you want, do whatever you want. But this is the realities of trading. We have to be in an industrial area because of the smoke and the noise and like the, you know, the parking issues. And so we can't be, you know, in North Perth, you know, across from the Rosemount. Like the crowd wouldn't work, right?
Yeah. And I guess being in an industrial area on a Saturday, most of those businesses aren't even open.
Yeah, pretty much. And we picked a nice big wide street, like just off Guildford Road, so near the river. Like it's industrial, but it's not like heavy industrial.
Yeah. Okay.
So like it looks cool.
Yeah.
The warehouses have like Melbourne style character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like it was just, you know, I really tried to pick all these points to try and make the event and the day really good.
Yeah.
And so some people get it, and the ones that get it understand, and the ones that don't, like, that's fine. They're probably not going to come anyway.
Yeah.
You know, and it just, that's kind of the thought process in the whole business model.
Oh, there's a couple of things I do want to chat to you about, but before we get on to what you're moving into, the meat, where you source it.
Yep.
And like, is it just broadly, is it ethically sourced, or is it grass-fed, or is there different variations? How do you do that?
So we started off buying meat from Troy's Meats in Balcata.
Mm-hmm.
So he's the secret butcher, pretty well known. I think most Perth folks that listen to you know who that is if they're into meat or barbecue at all.
Yep.
He is basically the godfather of the brisket in Perth. And because prior to Troy in 2015, 2016, you couldn't get a packer cut brisket. Like in Australia, they tend to they sort of cut them in a different way, makes it not ideal for smoking and low and slow, because they export certain parts of it to like Korea and Dubai and things like, and even Japan. Like we have the best meat in the world is in WA.
Yeah.
And well, in Australia in general, but WA has awesome meat. And so he came along, and that made it so that we could actually get the briskets we needed. Because before that, I used to have to order a carton from Mondo's, and it often came with like 8 to 10 briskets. So me and a bunch of guys from like the Facebook barbecue group, like Perth barbecue group on Facebook, was like 50 people. We would meet up at the Rose. We would meet up at what's the pub across from Mondo's in Inglewood there.
Is it the Inglewood?
I think it is the Inglewood. Man, I haven't been there in ages.
We're talking areas that I do not venture.
You don't come out east.
If I do a comedy show out that way, but yeah.
We would meet up there, open the Eskies. I'd hand out a brisket to everyone. They'd pay me for them, and then we'd have a beer and talk barbecue. So it was like, that was how the community kind of grew. So meat-wise, Troy was a really big deal. Barbecue's now spread so wide, you can get a glutton of good quality cuts anywhere.
Yeah.
Most of the meat the briskets are all grass-fed, grain-finished. That's really important. So if you do a grass-fed only brisket, it doesn't have enough fat on it. So it's going to be lean, it's going to be dry. It'd be good for, like, traditionally it'd be like a Jewish rolled brisket or things like that. So if you ever go to a butcher shop and you ask for a brisket and the butcher pulls out a rolled brisket, just like run out the door.
Yeah, okay.
So the best ones we get are from Lake Preston down in the southwest. We get quite a few from Pardue beef up at Pardue Station near Broome. Yep. And all of our beef is from Western Australia. The odd beef ribs we might get from Victoria if we need extra.
Yeah.
Troy gets us big beef ribs from Southern Ranges. Like when I started this business, I didn't realize that WA had all the elements required for like this type of barbecue. It had weather. Perfect weather.
Yeah.
Dry. Yeah. Dry really helps the meat to cook and the brisket to bark up like it does in Texas. So good weather, lots of good wood. So we have 10 or 12 types of wood that we can burn, that are all local native hardwoods that all taste good.
Yeah, right.
Good
cool.
meat. And then lots of blue collar people that love barbecue.
Yeah.
Because like I'm from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. And so we have the blue collar people. We have great beef. But we have terrible weather.
Yeah,
terrible weather. And we have not a single type of wood that natively grows that isn't poisonous because it's all fir and pine. Fuck. So WA is just like accidentally poised to be like the perfect place to do this.
Mate, I randomly met a couple the other day, just on a Saturday afternoon, having a couple of drinks down at a local, and they're from Canada, and they went to a wedding in Bali, had some friends in Perth, decided to pop in, and And they were like, what the fuck is this weather in winter? Like it was, 20 degrees and sunny. And it's like, it's fucking, we're very lucky.
I mean, it's been a cold, wet winter for me after 21 years. I felt like a bit of a wuss this year. This is the first year I was like, I'm pretty cold.
I think we're just getting old, man.
I think so. But like realistically, you know, we have 2 months that are really terribly hot. And, you know, we won't trade as much or we'll reduce our trade, or the boys and I'll start at 4 a.m., finish at 12. We're just staying out of the heat. We do trading hours. In winter, you know, we have some cover now. So the pits until this past year, we're out in the full open.
Okay.
So we'd wear raincoats and just like cook. Now we have like, you know, a big carport covering the pits. And
cool.
So like the weather in Perth, aside from like 2-3 months a year, it's pretty much perfect.
Yeah, you get like about 4 or 5 weeks of rain, like this time of the year, like July, August. And then that's about it. And then it's it's obscenely hot from like what in January, February is disgracefully hot. Like
I'm used to it now, and you know, there's a reason I didn't move back to Canada when I first came here. Like the weather's great, you don't have to shovel the rain. It's beautiful, and you know, it's just it's a great place to do what we're doing. And Perth has been really good to me. The meat here is great, and I just didn't ever start this business going, I'm gonna have it blow up. You might be the same with your podcast. Is that, you know, I started going, I'm gonna do this for me for fun. And if it stops working, or if I stop liking it, I'm gonna quit. I always said, if the food doesn't sell for a week or two, or if people aren't interested, man, I'm gonna go start some other business. Like it just happened to be the thing that caught on and caught my attention, and I still love doing it, which is probably rare for people in jobs for a decade.
Mate, this is the best job in the world for me. And it's just talking shit with people that are interesting, who have whatever opinions. And I love this. And I feel like right now I could do this until I'm done. Like I could. But I've always said, one, if it doesn't work, I've got to trade. I can go work in sheet metal again if I want. If I don't like it, I'll stop doing it. Like at the moment, stand-up comedy is my hobby. Maybe one day that becomes my all-time, what I want to do. But at the moment, this is it. This is what it is.
How did you get into stand-up comedy? Like, what was it? Where did you go give it a crack?
This podcast. So the co-host who's doing comedy over in Edinburgh at the moment for Fringe, he's a stand-up comedian. I went to high school with him, and it's something I'd always wanted to do. I'd done it at footy clubs, you know, your footy club stand-up night where someone gets up and gives it a go. That's all I'd done, and he just said, give it a crack, man. So I just did it.
You have ADHD too, don't you? Oh. Yeah. Man, but if you...
Undiagnosed, but...
I mean, I'm going through the diagnosis process now.
Yeah.
Like, I tried to do it before my kid was born.
Yeah.
I just knew back in January, I was like, I know I have ADHD. It's mostly a pro, right? Like, I mean, a couple of Dexies and, you know, something you love doing, and I can, you know, take over the world, right? But then some things I'm just like, I'm a complete lunatic about. Like, I struggle with paperwork. You know, I'm a bit forgetful. And so my wife is like, you know, she's very stable, and she, you know, she's my care when I'm an idiot, and she pulls me in when I need to be. And maybe I bring some excitement to her life, maybe too much excitement, you know. But
yeah, mate, that's similar. Like I'll go to the shops and go there to buy a thing of milk. I'm getting some milk, and I'll get everything but the milk, and it's just that ADD. I remember Delby. Allegedly Delby gave me some medication once before a podcast because I wasn't feeling great, and at the end I was like, "Man, did nothing." And he's like, "Oh, well, it's probably made for your brain then."
I mean, it's been a positive in my life for the most part, but I started going through it back in January because I wanted to. I knew it'd be tough with the newborn again. Like, you know, when. 5 years ago with my son, it was tougher, but I wasn't as busy, you know, and this time I was like, oh man, we got to get it sorted. So I'm going through the therapist now, and I'm happy with the process, and I think I'll be a better person if I'm slightly medicated and manage those sort of things. But I guess realistically, it's like that hyper focus is what built my business as well. Yeah.
We talk about good weather, and I hear it's fucking teaming down outside. Can you hear that?
Hey, it's like sunny to pumping with rain. Like it's just
we're in Melbourne weather.
Winter in Perth,
Yeah, but and so obviously small business. They've got their fair share of things that they're up against, and it's hard enough as a small business. Then we go through something like COVID, and that's even worse on small businesses. So the amount that closed through that time because of lockdowns and social distancing and all these sorts of rules and regulations, that's an extreme level of what really brings us down as a small business. What are you seeing now that's making it tougher for small businesses? Because it seems like it's just the governments want to prioritize the monopolies and the big corporations and just, I guess it's pretty, they're aligned in certain ways. So what challenges do you see that you're facing in other small businesses?
I just don't think small businesses, hospitality sector at least, has just not recovered from COVID.
Yeah.
The margins were always getting tighter. So I posted that. So last year, FY25, Big Don's did 3.2 million in sales.
Yeah,
and you'd be like, amazing. Like, Don, you must be driving like a Dodge Ram.
Yeah.
No, like it's a 4-cylinder Ranger, and but. Out of that, we made 3.3% profit. So that was 102,000 pre-tax and pre-GST. So, it's pretty tight. I actually paid myself a wage this year.
Yeah.
Whereas 8 years ago, I didn't take a wage for 3 or 4 years. My wife paid for everything.
Wow.
And then I started. You take cash and you're paying yourself a meager wage.
Yeah.
And now I'm paying myself $80K a year. So I'm still not killing it, right?
But it gives you.
But
yeah,
it's the business has grown to be this thing that now it should start to produce, but. Hospitality margins in Australia are 2.5%. So that is 75% of all restaurants in Australia go out of business in 5 years. 75%.
Wow.
So the entire industry is basically just on struggle street. And, certainly, you hear, I've had issues with local government, but just government in general loves to talk about small business, but you just don't see the level of support that, because we're doing well. We're one of the ones that is a success story because of a weird business model and weird organic growth. But I would never, ever let my son open a restaurant, or go into hospitality because it's really tough.
Well, even the cafes with the plastic bans and how a Woolworths they're not subject to some of these plastic bans.
Well, that's what frustrated me because so we had to get the plastic out of the shop, and I'm like, man, I'm super supportive of that. But at the time that they did it last year, there just wasn't any good options. So and then we had to put in an exemption for using the plastic products.
That's right, yeah, for your sauces, I do recall.
Well, sauce cups would just melt. Those paper ones they had would melt, and they were all twice the price. There was some issues there. I'm generally man, I want to recycle. I don't want to have any I know the plastic waste of a takeaway shop. We would produce bags full.
Yeah.
So we're using foil. We're doing as much as we can as well. Butcher's paper lining, so it's paper related.
Yeah.
So we're doing everything we can. But the rules around that one frustrated me because I'd go to Costco and there's plastic everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's man, you've got to be consistent. This is if you're going to come after small businesses, tax the big businesses.
Yes.
Make them pay their share.
Yeah.
These businesses need to be contributing to the life we live rather than you're trying to reduce that margin from 4% to 2% for a restaurant.
Yeah. And I keep talking about my local barista, but he has to go from plastic cups to paper cups. It's more expensive. And then you go to a Woolworths and you see a zucchini wrapped in Gladys. And you're
it's just
make it make sense.
Exactly, rules for everyone is probably the
consistency.
Absolutely,
yeah.
And just roll these out with a little more thought in terms of the impact that it'll have on if we have an issue that costs us $10,000, we can pay it. A legal issue or a new stock supply thing we need, but a lot of businesses they physically can't afford it.
Well, this is where I feel governments are making these decisions that just do not make sense. I feel like it's intentional, and that's tinfoil hat, I know, but I feel like some of these decisions they're making are so ridiculous and very clear for everyone to see that they're prioritizing corporations and big business and big pharma and the banks and the oil and gas industry. They're prioritizing them. Everyone can see it, and they act like we can't see it, but we very clearly can. And for me, that feels like it's by design to create division and point the finger at all these other things instead of focusing on building your own business or building things in your health or whatever it ends up being. You're focused on the people who are making the stupid decisions. People say, the governments are fucking idiots. I don't think they are. I think they're geniuses, and I think they're, again, tinfoil hat on here. I feel like they're getting to a point where we can see how bad it is and how stupid their decisions are and how biased they are, that eventually there'd be this sort of uprising in which, unfortunately, sometimes that gets violent. And then what else happens? Then they have to put in more regulations, more rules, more laws that help censor us, they pressure us, and eventually benefit big business, big corporations. So I know that feels tin foil hat, but for me, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, but that's on brand for the podcast.
Well,
I like the subtle change, right? Let's get into some of the deeper stuff. No, it's like I always grew up on conspiracy theories from the Art Bell Show, which was a radio show in the middle of the night. I know, he inspired Joe Rogan and a lot of podcasters now.
Hey, he's the goat.
Art Bell and the aliens in the middle of that. Man, I would sit up at night, listen to this.
Yeah.
And I was probably like the biggest fan. And as I've gotten older, I just think that probably it's less conspiracy. If there's more than one or two people involved, I don't think it's a conspiracy because 3, 4, 5 are not going to keep a secret. But I think it's just general, in terms of government, regardless of the government of the day, disinterest in the average goings of the average person in our society. And that's frustrating because, the problems that a small business will have, whether it's a restaurant or anyone else, you're not going to know unless you go in there and you spend days with them and you figure out how it really is. So it's just people making political decisions and policy decisions for society are just so far out of touch that I just don't think. And you get into politics and you usually have a bit of money. You're a lawyer or there's no teachers, there's no like local people in any form of representation, even in local government, let alone state or federal. And so it just everyone just feels very out of touch with the average person's issues.
Well, that's why I feel like this August 31st protest that's been circulating, it's just I don't agree with this protest because I won't be going.
What is the theme of this protest?
So this protest, and this is the issue. So this was a kid in South Australia. He just put a TikTok up saying he's seen the protest for Palestine in
I
Sydney,
did see that one.
in Sydney Harbour.
Yep.
So he's seen that, and he said, well, I think we should do something about that to stand up for Australians and everyday citizens. We need to unite. They're flooding the country with migrants when we have a cost of living crisis and a housing crisis. We have things like, obviously, they're prioritising the big oil and big gas industries. So many things that, like I just outlined before, are going against us as civilians and citizens, and they're prioritising those big corporations. And we can see it. So they want to march for unity. Let's start to stand together. And that's a great concept by this kid.
Yeah.
But he's handed over control to this group because he doesn't know how to run a march.
I saw the TikTok that you're talking about. Yeah, it did pop up. The algorithm did its thing on that one.
And so he obviously had innocent and a good idea for what he was trying to push. But what it ended up being is it's now being taken over by, from as far as I'm aware, like a white nationalist group, which is it doesn't
just
matter.
becomes a response to the Gaza Palestinian one on the Sydney Harbour Bridge.
Yes. Yeah. So and it can be, even though I'd say 90% of the people who would go there would not be aligned with that. There would be outliers, I'm sure there would, but 90% of the people would be going, yeah, we are feeling the pinch. You're not looking after the citizens of Australia. You're prioritising other things, big business, migrants, everything. We can see it. But that's not what it'll be painted as in the media. You only have to have a few people get violent for the whole crowd to be smeared in that way. It's not going to be run correctly. I don't know what the speeches are going to entail. So I think, if anything, it does show that people are upset, but I don't think it's going to be run very well.
You talked about like division and like fracturing from, governments in general. And it just feels like this is kind of a result of like, borders and divisions between countries in general, right? It's like, because I don't think if you spoke to the average person that went to the Gaza protest on the Sydney Harbour Bridge, or the average Australian who is, maybe not like ultra nationalist, but the average person who's interested in that, they probably have a lot in common.
Yeah.
Like they're still Australians, like they're still pretty similar people. This is the one where I thought maybe in the last few years there'd been a bit more of the uniting of the the rich or the corporations or the ones not paying tax with the general public. It's like, man, it's like Bernie Sanders, who said the same thing for 60 years. Like, it doesn't matter if you're from Texas or Rhode Island, or if you're an average middle class person. Like, you have more in common with each other than you do with someone who's, $20 million a year CEO of an oil company.
Yeah. Yeah, well, and mate, this is the thing I always say with a lot of issues. When you got the polar sides, we got the tribalistic things. We're aligning with the side, and we're sticking there no matter what. At the end of the day, if we all realise we want the same thing, which is for everyone to be okay and everyone to be happy and to be in a good place, we don't want to see all these poor people. We don't want to see starving people. We don't want to see oppression. We don't want to see genocide. We don't want to see anyone oppressed in any way. We just disagree on pathways there.
Yeah.
But we all want the same thing, a loving community where we all get along and we all thrive.
For sure.
If people took a step back, zoomed out and seen it from that perspective, we'd all go, okay, at least we want the same thing.
The one thing about Australia that I've noticed as a foreigner, and I've been a citizen 12, 13 years here. And one thing I noticed is that how important the preferential voting is. And how important that is for keeping our country from having too much division, because you have such an extreme to the right or the left in other parts of the world, and then the reaction when something is so extreme, the reaction is if someone comes here, you don't come here, you meet them closer, and so they get further and further apart, that's happened many times in the last 100 years alone. And so the thing with preferential voting, I think, is that it forces a little bit more mediation between different political sides. And for the most part, I think it's kept Australia from fracturing the way that the US or Canada or other countries have. It's something that when I moved here, like I'm from like the redneck part of Canada. I'm from Alberta, and I'm like, you can't demand that I vote, And I was like, but then I realized just how important it is. Yeah. And I think we are the only country that does it consistently nationwide. Other countries might do it here or there, or in cities or states, but it's like super important to be able to walk across the aisle and shake hands with someone. Yeah. And it's exactly the same in society. Like, this is the classic podcast story of like, I'd sit down and have a beer with you, and we, you could be totally different, but we could probably find some common middle ground and have a laugh. Like having a beer with somebody, the most Australian thing I can think of, rather than just like, being a keyboard warrior online, right? Like where it's not reality online either. And that's probably half the issues. People take what's being said on the internet, to heart, and that person wouldn't say that to you face to face over a beer. Yeah, no, definitely. And that gets back to like the Tash Peterson conversation at the very start of this podcast. Like, very nice in person, we got along really well, and then just starts slamming me as an animal abuser. Which even though strange, man. Yeah, even though the concept of this podcast was to have a chat between two people who disagree. But again, she clearly, her vegan brand is built off of, inflaming people. Like, she obviously loves that. She strives for that. Yeah. And so, attacking you online is just the thing that week that got her, the attention that she was looking for. And like, I try hard with my business not to, be, just controversial or anything for the sake provocative, of it. Yeah. Like, I noticed, so my business model is based off Franklin Barbecue in Texas. He's the man that inspired every barbecue joint in the world in the past 15 years. And one thing I noticed, so he's in Austin, Texas, he's in the heart of Republican red America. Yeah. And, but he's like a pot smoking muso from College Station. Like, he said in his book that after his daughter's birth, the second best day of his life was when Obama visited his restaurant. Like, he's a liberal for sure. Yeah. But I've noticed in his branding, he's never ever made his business political. And, he's like, barbecue is like the ultimate big tent. Like, if you come down to the shop, my place or, his place, and, man, sit down, you're forced to share because we don't do single serves. It's like a feed for four. So you're forced to share food and break bread literally and figuratively with people. And, there's something about that where, I'm running for local government, but not on like a political campaign, more of a small business campaign, because it feels like small businesses don't get a fair shake or representation. Yeah. But, it's really how I think more people should view, and certainly how business should view the general public. Like, I'm not trying to get into an argument with someone online, and I'm not trying to inflame anyone, but I'm also not going to eat shit. Yeah. Mate, I reckon that's real admirable, and I like the way that's unfolded, because it does become a community. Everyone who says they've been down there said they love going down there, having their chat, pulling up their chair, eating their meat, it's part of the whole part. It's a
almost, it's like a festival vibe sort of thing.
Well, and I try and use it to do a lot of good. Like, it's like charity-driven stuff. We've done that for years and years. Like, we did it, and I never really talked about it because I was like, I'm not. I'm doing a lot of talking these days on a podcast in general, but I always felt uncomfortable talking about my own successes or wins, right? And probably a lot of us do. And so kind of like going on these podcasts is a chance for me to practice having public conversations. I'm using this as a way to like improve my own skills, personal skills. And with my business, like in 2021 when the bushfires raged through the east and we lost 15 or 20 houses in the hills, we did a bushfire fundraiser with Archie Saw Chicken and Farrell out at the brew pub, and we as a group of three raised $110,000 all to charity. All the food was covered by suppliers, and we did that in 1 week's notice.
Wow.
And I was like, man, the power of gathering people together for good causes, to not do that feels wrong, and so we try and do that from like our local community, our general Perth and statewide community. But it's like when you're doing well enough in business or your brand is strong, like to not do it feels like it's not the community aspect that you're wrong. You're an asshole not to do it. If you're just like, oh man, I'm here for myself, that's all I care about. Like, it's fun. It's fun to do stuff like that. And in that scenario, everyone comes together and everyone's supportive. And Australia, more than anywhere else, I think appreciates people that have a go and that are fair, right? And that's how I try and look at any conversation with anyone, regardless of the political background, or someone that's like having a beer or brisket at the shop. You know?
So moving into that side of things with the running. So small business is your drive?
But I'm in West Ward in Bayswater, and so it's a very green ward. It's a very I live across from Riverside Gardens, so it's 10 kilometers of Riverside there. Like, it's wonderful. I moved there for a reason. Like, I'm a very environmentally conscious person in general, which sounds hilarious as a guy, and this is what Tash would say. Sounds hilarious for a guy that cooks all that meat. Like, I appreciate the irony of being like an environmental focused person who also cooks more meat than anyone in the country. But I have to wear that burden. But I love the area I'm in, and I want it to stay looking the way it is. I'm not like a developer, so the council's always either, especially at local government in Australia, it's always you're very green and very left wing. You're a developer, and there's a lot of that. And then there's factions. Whereas I'm looking at it going, look, I live in these areas because I like that green element. I'm also a small business owner who wants to see more representation in the industrial area and by small businesses in general. And there's none, it feels like. And, you have to marry those. And, if I was, trust me, I didn't run for local council because I thought it'd be fun. It's going to be fucking boring, man. Like, I'm going to need 3 Dexies to get through one of those meetings.
It's going to be a fucking
I'm going to be talking about cats on leads and policies that are pretty boring. But at the end of the day, I think I can look at any issue balanced. Right. And I think I can make it more about the community in general. And I just have a unique platform, as we saw like the media 2 months ago, where it really popped off. I make one post saying I'm looking for a new suburb to move to. The city of Bayswater's been shit. And it was on the news like crazy, and the city had put out statements about me, and I was like,
really?
But I've had issues going back because of our original fine in 2017. I must be like Ahab's whale on the wall for anybody working in local government, like a bureaucrat who's like, this is the guy I want to get, right? And fair enough. Like, I understand that. Like, I never said I wasn't breaking the rules or, that I didn't have a weird, that's not a good origin story, by the way. If you're starting a food business, don't do that. But, it's, you just run into this like bureaucracy where a conversation could go further than like a lawyer letter or like 6 months of emails with like, the city's planning consultant, right?
Well, that's why I've been getting people on I disagree with, because I think it's nice. Even at worst, if you don't agree in the end, which you're never going to, you can find some common ground. Like, I still find common ground with vegans going, look, I care about the well-being of animals, just not the way you do. But there are things that you can have common ground with. We had a transgender person on who I disagree with a lot of the things that they say, but we found common ground on a lot of issues, which is great. I think that's what you need, to have conversations like that, bridge the divide, less division, less pointing the finger at each other, and trying to find that we all want the same thing for each other. We just, like I said, we just disagree on the path.
Like I'm sure there's going to be someone who's too extreme where I go, like, I'm not going to make an effort. But for the most part, like 95% of society is somewhere within reason of being, making friends and breaking bread and having things that are common ground. So
how do you think small businesses are being deprioritized?
Well, so there's just a lot of work and costs. So all I can really talk to is my own experience, and it's like in the city of Bayswater, I tried to build a distillery, right? So this was next door to my barbecue restaurant, 40 square meters, very small. I enjoy making whiskey, big single malt fan, bourbon fan. So very small setup. Now I was able to build it without building permits, because it's non-structural. I made it as simple as I could, so I didn't have to go through the bureaucracy. The council comes in to sign this off, and they go, well, you need a drop ceiling above your distillery, like a kitchen, because in Australia, if you're a alcohol producer, beer or spirits, you're a food business, you're a food producer.
Okay.
So the health department is who signs you off. And I said, look, I'm cleaning like metal here. Like there's no food here. I'm not chopping lemons and limes for gin. There's no food. And they go, no, you need the ceiling. So I have to go online and find examples of that they've approved previously that don't have that, and I have to come back to them and go, cool. So they go, all right, we agree that you don't have to do that. So they backtrack on a few things. They finally come in to sign it off. They bring in a building surveyor who goes, these temporary toilets, I put in a disabled toilet, but it was like a Chinese-built donga, lifted off a truck, plumbed above ground. Like I could rip it out of the shop in 10 minutes. And I go, this is a temporary structure. This isn't like I did not build a toilet here. And they disagreed and said, no, you needed a building permit, which you didn't get, and it changes the occupancy of the building. So basically, you can't use this space anymore, which was a wild route to go down. And so I started getting lawyer letters from the city, and I've spent, just in the last 2-3 months, $12,000 on lawyers, $5,000 on planning consultants, and I'm probably going to spend $30,000 on like works in the shop. So like I'm a business that today can probably cop a 40, 50K bill. But the only people who can cop these bills are big businesses generally. Like 95% of small businesses. You get that, you're like, I'm out of here, man. I can't afford this.
Yeah, this is too hard.
And I'm also just like not good at not fighting back. Like I probably do it to my detriment. If you ask my wife, I'm hard-headed about like if someone's done something that I'm upset about, I tend to push back. So it's just an example of like in that scenario, if I were in local council, I would try and they need to give customer service. This is ratepayers. This is small businesses. They say they're open for business. Then could they not have come down and just met with me and looked at it together, and we bring the 2 or 3 relevant departments and we figure it out? This is pretty boring for your podcast, planning town schemes for local government. But it's just have a conversation. Show some tact in how you want to deal with the business. And it's weird because now we're the most followed restaurant in Australia. So on social media, like we're a big business now. And that's weird for like 8 years of pop-ups and bootstrapping and, doing it out of my garage. So I'm kind of in this point where we're shifting to being the bigger business. And I understand that like people probably now are like, he doesn't follow the rules. Fuck him, There's a little bit of the tall poppy syndrome, a little bit of the like, let's knock him down now thing. And I don't give a fuck because I don't subscribe to it. It's not going to faze me. But I can make a difference with that platform, clearly based on the media that the city was roasted over, on behalf of small businesses. There's no world where I'm running for local politics, local government, in order to do anything about my own business, because it'll probably just make it harder. Like I'll have to recuse myself. Like I'm not there to like rattle cages and change things for my restaurant. But I can absolutely fight back on behalf of people that don't have the ability to get their story in the news that night from a Facebook post. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, mate, like, 1,000%.
An angry cunt.
No, but this is exactly what it seems to be. It seems to be like that with every aspect. It's always prioritizing the big business and the corporations, and it seems like they're deliberately making it difficult for small businesses to succeed, even though they usually run on this. Oh, they are the backbone of our society. The regulations that they enforce.
So what ends up happening is the only ones that do anything are bigger businesses, right? Like, oh well, we're going to develop this block, so it's going to be a Woolies with an underground car park, so we can get enough parking, or it's going to be like a mega pub from some huge chain of pubs. And it's like, so we lose the heart and soul of the food scene from the local barista, or the hole in the wall shops, or because they can't afford $10 or $20 or $30,000 in fees and consultants and planning and all this other rubbish, and it's like, and I've said this one, I think people might misconstrue it, is that I think Perth in Western Australia has the worst street food and food truck scene in the world. And the reason is not because of the operators or the quality of the food, it's because the barrier of entry is too high. The burden is too high. We have a fractured group of councils, like 20, 30, well, we have 139 councils in WA. There's 70 in Victoria, 70 in New South Wales. I'm running for council. We have too many fucking councils. Get rid of most of them. But they're all fractured, and you have to independently, as a food truck operator, register with each one of them. And whereas in Victoria or Queensland, you just go online, fill out a form, you go and trade. If they want to come check on you, they come and check on you. Like, they can make the system easier, but the system is purposely difficult. So as a result, we don't have a vibrant street food scene. I love Perth. I'm old now. Like, I love the going to bed early, the shops closed on Sundays. I open one day a week. I mean, I love Perth for many reasons, but the bureaucracy and the way that we run things is counter to some of the vibrancy that other cities have.
Seems like the only time we get any of that is through Fringe, when they sort of like make a effort towards having that. But that's 1 month of the year where they get a bit of street food, street entertainment, and I guess the city comes alive. But aside from that, you're right. It does seem a little bland in that. It
is a little bland, just compared to other cities in Australia or other parts of the world. And I'm not saying, like, man, I don't want to be like Bali, right? I don't want to have no regulation. I don't want to have dodgy food on the street. Like, I love that when I come back to Perth after a holiday, we've got our queues and our organized, re-entry to the country. Like, there's certain elements of civilized society Australia does very well. And for the most part, like, I moved from this probably the second best country in the world to the best country in the world. Like, I didn't, come from, like, I'm a white guy with a name McDonald, right? Like, I do appreciate that I came in 20 years ago. It took one form. It was fucking easy. And, it's a lot different if you're coming from other parts of the world. But, like, we have a great society here. I'm not complaining about Australia. And with this accent, I know some guy's going to go like, this fucking American guy telling us how to live. But it's like, I've been here longer than I've been in Canada. I'm 40. I've been here 21 years in Perth. Like, I don't even feel Canadian anymore. I still have hockey, but, like, the food and coffee in Canada sucks too.
Are you afraid that if you do succeed, that you end up just running into brick walls?
Oh, for sure. And it's like, I'm not running on this with any intention I don't even know if I'll be able to make any changes at all to the small business setup, because the councillors themselves, they vote on, who they like the CEO, and they vote on what the people they want in the higher positions. And then there's the administration and the city that satisfies, their own requirements, all the planning and health and everything. So realistically, as a council, I have zero impact. But what I can do is I can positively and negatively boost, because I've been in Bayswater 8 years. I've been a booster. I started at the Bayswater Bowls Club as a pop-up. I've been a big supporter of Bayswater. Inner East City, 40,000, like, big city as well, like 50 square kilometers, 40,000 people down by the river, like 7 Ks out of the CBD. Like, it's an awesome spot. I really love where I live. But I have the ability to boost things they're doing well. And I also have the ability to post and go, look at this shit. Like, are you getting fucked around as a local resident or a local small business? Here's me posting it and getting 1 million people seeing that in 24 hours. So it's not that I'm going to weaponize my ability to shine a light on BS, right? Like,
I guess the only fear with that would be you'd have some people go, I follow you for meat, not your policies.
For sure, And so, I have a separate page for that, for the political page. I try not to get too many posts about that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Most of my followers don't live in Bayswater.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
we have, 300,000 followers and probably 1,000 of them are in Bayswater.
Yeah.
But my business has always sort of been an extension of myself.
Yeah.
So when we were a pop-up and I would review whiskeys that I'm drinking at the moment.
Yeah.
I would talk about all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And I really don't have any interest in going, well, my business is big now, so let's make it boring and plain and exactly how we, exactly how a corporate business is going to run, or let's get a social media lady and take the keys away from Don. Like, I'm just going to run it the way I've always done it.
Yeah.
And if it stops working, I don't care. I'll go and do something else,
Yeah. Well, I like that. That's, but also, if you're coming at it from a point of view of a small business point of view, and that's what you're maybe chucking some stuff up on Big Don's meat, like on that page, obviously, 300 and something thousand followers. Oh, I can't remember what it is, but there's a lot. There's a big platform for people to see some things, and it will expose
For sure.
what's going on.
I think so. But also, like what you said a moment ago about, like, politics on a barbecue restaurant page, it's like, it's pretty non-political.
Yeah.
Local government, I don't view as should be that political. So
Yeah.
I'm an independent candidate, like I'm not running with any parties. Like, a lot of people use local government to build up their brand and become a career politician. That's not what I'm doing. Like, I will never be in politics in any other capacity. I'm doing this from a local community standpoint. And I suppose I'm going to alienate a few people, but like, I could come on a podcast like yours and, we could, then in 10 minutes, we could be talking about ghosts or something.
Yeah.
And like, some people are going to go, Don, that's a bit weird. I don't care. Like, I'm here to learn something, to, enjoy speaking to someone who has a good conversation.
Yeah.
And that is the same application that I would take in any sort of form with the business, like in a local government setting.
Well, even recently, I think utilizing that platform to be able to expose some of the shortcomings when it comes to like a small business would be beneficial to a lot of people, because I think it does create change. We see, actually, it's just recently, now Basil Zemplis, he's Liberal. Now, he had him on, and I agreed and disagreed with some of the things that he had, and he's a good person, and I understand he's got to do what he's got to do in regards to towing the line with the Liberals, but what I did like recently, and this is not me aligning with Liberal, but I did like that he exposed what was going on with the hospitals and the healthcare system. And originally, Roger Cook coming back saying, no, not our fault, and we don't see it, we don't know what's going on, basically fucking shunning it. And then after, it just became a big spectacle. Even the news started picking it up. Everyone was getting into this. He's had to make a change very quickly. Within a week, they've somehow found $50 million to support the healthcare system.
I mean, I loosely know about the issue. It feels to me like that was used to bludgeon the Cook government and use it as a weapon, but also like it's an issue. So it's worth raising. The thing I have a problem with in politics, on regardless of side, is finding an attack position just to attack.
Correct.
And so regardless, where it's like, that like the Labour brand in WA, so the one pop-up we ever lost money on, we've one day where we lost money was I did a pop-up during the McGowan election, the first one, the landslide, at the Malaga ice rink.
Okay.
I thought, everybody loves ice hockey, right? Oh, no. Turns out I'm the only fucking guy who likes ice hockey.
Yeah, I've got a few
And
mates who like ice hockey.
we left that gig and I was like, nobody came. Oh yeah, it's election day. And I was like, I think I just became a citizen the year after that.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the Labour brand in WA is very professional. They're not really a left-wing brand. They're more of a corporate brand.
Yeah.
The thing I have a problem with the state government in WA is that they have had such a majority for 5 years that now. They haven't really instituted any significant change. Like, I would like to see, a sovereign wealth fund created and taxing, the big businesses that are extracting 25 cents a kilo, a ton of ore out of Western Australia.
Yeah.
Like, start saving some money, start doing something that, everyone points to Norway, right? And the $1 trillion wealth fund they have. And it's like Alberta, where I'm from, oil country, same problem. Like, just give all these subsidies to these companies, like tax them, get some cash, do something that in 10 or 20 or 30 years, we can benefit our community, from some forethought to do so, as opposed to just like, running in a way that's not going to offend anyone or be risky.
Yeah.
I'm not, I wasn't a fan. This is a little early in my time in Australia, but I was the former Liberal Premier before McGowan out in Cottesloe there.
Not going to remember.
I'm going to look like an idiot to everyone in W right now. Gosh, what was his name?
The one I remember the most is Richard Court, and that's a long time ago.
Oh, man, are you from WA?
Yeah.
It's like
To be fair, for a long time, was not into politics at all. It was only recently, the last probably 5, 6, 7 years.
Well, it's hard not to be somewhat with just the way the world is now and the way that the news is now. But I was just talking about like getting rid of Colin Barnett, so the former premier.
Yeah.
And you remember Troy Buswell, like the chair sniffing.
Yep.
Yes,
I do recall.
You've had it as a foreigner. I'm like, just WA politics is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you got some weird characters out here.
Yeah.
But the one thing Barnett tried to do was get rid of amalgamate councils. I totally agree with that. Like councils need to be reduced. We have double the councils of states that are far bigger and more populated than we are. And, he tried to do something and it failed really badly. But then you see like the Cook government and, the current government has an opportunity. They're fighting with the councils a lot right now about developments, but they're not using this massive majority they have to actually like execute any significant change. And so it feels a little bit like I've seen this story before. What's improving for the average person?
Yeah.
To be fair to the state government, they have been fairly productive with small businesses in terms of reducing some of the demands of applying for a new restaurant or pub, the parking requirements. They've reduced that and they forced the councils to also get in line. So there has been very positive small business from the Labour state government. But yeah, it's like you're going to find something and you're going to attack them with it regardless, either side. And it's like, you just don't see the collaboration that I think Australian politics could have, as opposed to I don't want to get anything near what America is. Like, what a mess, right? And Canada's not much better. So I'm still happy with where we are here. But I hope it stays a little like that small Perth feeling 20 years ago when I moved here is starting to fade a bit.
Well, I kind of miss, and you said it before, Art Bell, that era of when conspiracies were that.
They were fun back then. They're scary now.
Now it's like, oh my God, what the fuck? Like that, do you remember that Art Bell one where someone called up and he was from Area 51 and he was on the run?
Yeah, I mean, that one's been played a few times, I think.
That one was... Like,
and I'm sure that guy was just like on LSD and he was probably tripping balls, but like makes for great radio.
Oh, and there was some very good moments throughout that. And I
mean, conspiracy theories have certainly been weaponized a little bit in terms of like, firing people up and like, I don't follow any of it like I did when I was younger. And that was before the internet, really. Like I was reading like, books about this stuff and listening to Art Bell. But, today, like there's some rabbit holes you can go down. And it is scary. But on the flip side...
it used to be innocent. It used to be...
Yeah, it was like Bigfoot, Bigfoot, it's like, like those are fun,
Now it's like,
UFOs.
There's fucking child pedophile rings going on.
Man,
You're like, what the fuck?
Man, it's nuts, and it's like, but where there's smoke, there's fire at times, no doubt. And, they're interesting to read about and follow, but even that stuff's politicized, right? Because it's like who's in power, and man, I don't care how I align or how someone aligns, but like if someone's done the wrong thing, fucking nail them to the cross. Like it's as simple as that from my perspective. I'm a pretty black and white morals and ethics type of person.
Well, that's generally what I want to do with this podcast, is have a bit more fun with it. And we'll do politics. We do get politicians in. We'll go a bit serious at sometimes, but the rest of it, I want to do.
Who's turned
stories.
You down?
Yeah,
has Roger Cook turned you down?
Mate, Roger Cook has nothing. We get nothing back. Yeah. So, like, I want him on. I want to have a chat because I want to say, look, mate, like, why can't we?
Interesting, wouldn't it?
I wouldn't be a dick. It's you're having a good conversation. Like, I'd love to just say, why can't we tax these mining giants? Why can't we up the royalties just a little bit? A little bit.
That's what I think is. There's more people have more in common than they're apart, right? Like there's none of us are the 1/10 of 1%ers.
Well, I asked Basil, who is the leader of the opposition. And he said, we don't want to scare them away. And they're the ones who have the right tools and they know how to be able to do this. And well, I don't think that's an excuse because you're not going to scare them away. If whether they make $1 billion profit or $800 million profit, it's still profit. They're not walking away from the resources.
Oh, I mean, no question about it. Like you're not gonna go mine ore in a dangerous African country, when you can come to WA and it's super safe.
Correct.
Like you can charge significantly more. That could be done for the last 50 or 100 years. It was done in Norway, wasn't done in Alberta, wasn't done in WA. What do we have to show for it? Like I would have liked to have seen some money taxed and taken and used to build up other, revenue streams for the state, other industries. And, I mean, it's not too late, right? Like, it's not too late for these
Yeah.
things. Some countries it might be too late. The way we're going, right? I'm worried about my kid's future. And,
yeah.
But remember how old are you?
38.
Yeah, I'm 40. It's like, remember the 90s, man? It was so safe and PC.
Mate,
I was like,
we had this
it just
chat-
felt so free.
Yeah, I had this
know?
chat last night, and I felt like the 90s and thousands, and this is maybe an old person thing to say, but
We've hit recently. Like, I was born in 1985. That didn't seem old at the turn of the century.
No.
Right? Now I'm like, I'm an old fucker now.
yeah. But I feel like, and maybe every generation says this, but the 90s and early thousands was that like perfect happy medium, I reckon, where technology was just getting enough, where we had a few luxuries and a few things that were a little bit of fun, but it didn't distract us too much. We didn't have constant phones. We didn't have this PC culture where we can't say anything. We didn't have helicopter parents. We had kids getting around, getting their knees dirty in the sand and fucking eating worms and bullshit. All the cliches. We had that perfect happy little medium, I think.
It was just like life was, and things were affordable. Like, housing was affordable. You know, your mom didn't have to work necessarily when you were young, and it's like, it's a different world, and it is a little sad. And I think you'll see in the future a rejection of having kids by young people. It's already happening. Like, our birth rate's in decline. Like, this is going to continue because the world isn't good enough for young people to feel safe to do that. And I totally understand that point of view. And the idea of being an old guy and going, well, if you just work a bit harder and give up the Avo toast, give me a break, man. Like, it's a totally different world for kids. Like, I bought my house 2019 in Bayswater, right? We bought it for $900,000 and we stretched for that.
Yeah.
It's about 1.617 now.
Crazy.
We couldn't afford our house today.
Yeah.
And we moved in January 2020.
Yeah.
Just before COVID.
Yeah.
Like, it was the luckiest thing I've ever done.
I did the opposite. I sold.
But time in the market, not time in the market.
Yeah,
I don't know, but
exactly.
it's tricky. And so I'm really worried about my kids, what they're going to, I think you're going to find
That's the issue, isn't it?
you're just going to find that society has to have a little bit of a reset, and there's going to have to be significantly more taxation going to support young people and the unemployed, and we're going to lose so many industries with AI.
Yeah.
This is where I was thinking, somebody said this to me the other day, was like, are you worried about your restaurant in the future or anything like that? And I said, no, because I feel like the way we're going as a society, people are always going to crave some human interaction.
Yeah.
And so I think going to a show or live theater, coming to a restaurant and having someone serve you and that will never go out of fashion.
Nah.
And if you're really good at that, I think it'll always be popular.
Yeah, I agree. Human interaction is what we're sort of missing.
Because this phone thing, you're right. I look at my screen time. I'm on my phone a lot. I'm social media is basically my full-time job with Big Dons. And, my screen time might hit 4 or 5 hours on a busy day. But my partner, she was a teacher and she's a lecturer at Curtin now. And, she has the kids show them their screens and what's your screen time been? 10 hours, 12 hours, 13 hours. And I'm like, wow, that would rot my brain.
So
if 5-6 hours on my phone and I'm tired and I got to go have a nap,
Mate, I'm starting to feel it, and I started looking at my screen time, but then you breaks it down to creativity and social media and what you're doing. And so when I add in YouTube to that, it definitely blows it out, because sometimes I'll play YouTube but listen, I won't be watching. And Netflix. Sometimes I'll have Netflix on my phone, but mine circulates around about that 8-hour mark, which is a lot.
And you're in media, and that is a lot, but
correct. But I look at it, and then the creativity side, so actually making up clips and doing those sorts of things on my phone, takes up about 2 to 3 hours. So there's still 5 hours of social media. Let's say YouTube, or me listening to a podcast on YouTube or whatever, or is 1.5 hours. There's still probably 3.5 hours of just rotting my brain while looking at social media. So it does make me feel exhausted, and it does make me feel disconnected, and I am putting in efforts sometimes. I fall back into old patterns and traps sometimes where you're just scrolling through social media again, but putting my phone on charge and just leaving it in the bedroom and then going around and go for a walk around the lake. You don't need to bring your fucking phone. And
do you have kids?
Yeah, I got a daughter, and
how old is she?
She's 7, nearly 8, and I notice when I am more present with her, I don't have my phone, how much more of an impact that has. Even though I see that, I still fall into the traps. So I should be able to just be disciplined and just go, nah, not doing that anymore. But maybe you have to put in some rules sometimes. Maybe you have to go, right, okay, from 4 o'clock onwards, I'm not using my phone from 4 till 8. Like, that seems a stupid, pathetic way that I have to set a rule. But maybe to break a trend and maybe break a habit, I have to do that.
I mean, I have the same issues, like the same issues we all face with, like being on our phones too often. And it's like my son's 5 and he's still in that, like, you know, sometimes he goes, yeah, you know, you put your phone down, you're on your phone, like, let's go play footy.
Yeah.
Like, a terrible
When they
guy,
say it,
terrible
yeah.
guy to teach your son how to play footy.
Yeah.
I cannot kick a footy to save my life.
Okay.
But,
Who do you support? Anyone?
The Dockers. I always cheer for the underdog, though.
Okay, cool.
But, you know, it's like,
You should
I'm,
be going
I'm
for
from
the Eagles
Edmonton,
then.
so.
You should be going for the Eagles then.
Yeah, not historically.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It's, I mean, I've tried to do the exact same thing. I wonder if there's going to be a rejection of some of the world we live in by the next generation. Like, are we going to see kids rejecting social media? They kind of are, right?
Yeah.
Facebook's for old people. Instagram's now for like old people. You know, TikTok is I mean, I have to learn how to use it. I have to post on it. I feel like an asshole doing it.
Yeah.
But it's like, you know, but I just wonder if this can only go on so long, onlineification of everyone's lives.
Yeah.
Because if kids are online that many hours compared to us at our generation, or, you know, but then the funny part is, like, our parents, they're getting like dotty. And so I was in Scotland in May with my dad, and I love my dad, and luckily he probably won't listen to this. But, man, I've never seen another person's algorithm, really.
Yeah.
You know, and we're sitting in a hotel room, like lying in the bed watching TV or something, and I see him flicking through like Facebook Reels, and he would use Facebook as a search engine, like type in something about like the hockey or whatever, and his algorithm was like AI that he couldn't tell was AI, and he's in his mid-70s, you know, and he's never been an online guy. And I realized 10 years ago I created a Facebook account with his name from Australia, pretended that it was his, and like made a joke out of it, being like, Dad, you got to get on here so I can message you photos of, you know, your future grandkids. And I just realized I might have done that to her. But there's something to be said, I think, about a certain generation with a better bullshit detector. Like I was 16, 17, the internet when I was a kid at that age and I first got on it, there was no one filtering content of any kind. Like, you're in dodgy chat rooms with dodgy people. You're like, it was the Wild West. So you had to have a good bullshit detector back then at our age.
Yes.
Young kids now, the algorithm and the content is filtered to addict them. So they don't really, they are more easily addicted. The older generation, our parents, who were saying, be careful on the internet, they seem a little bit obsessed. So I'm sure I'm talking right to our demographic here, actually, on your show.
Yeah, correct.
But like, it feels like I don't get, you know, I've never fallen for a scam or been, felt fooled online. But there's something about our generation that we're really lucky to be the ones that came into it like that.
Yeah. No, I'm saying that as well. But yeah, it is that instant gratification that we get. Like, and I use this example quite commonly on the podcast, but something as simple as, and it sounds spoiled, but, you know, when we were younger, we had a TV, we had the TV guide. You had, if there's something on too late because your mum and dad wouldn't let you stay up, you had to record it on the VCR and then you could watch it the next day. You had to withstand the ads. Those ads were your time to quickly run to the toilet and have a toilet break or whatever you're going to do there. You had to wait. You had no choice. And you had to wait for the program to start. You didn't get to choose when to, like we have Netflix or whatever. YouTube Kids, they're like, I don't like this video, next. No ads, next.
I mean,
don't like this one,
YouTube's scary,
next.
man.
Yeah.
I have never been on YouTube and watched it like a TV show. I go on YouTube when I need to find like how to set my, you know, my dryer.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, but apparently that's what. So after Andy Cooks visited the shop, he put out a great video. It's like an hour long cooking at our shop. It was the best content anyone's ever filmed about our business.
Awesome.
And I got on YouTube and I was chatting to people about it, and they're like, yeah, I just throw up YouTube and watch YouTube at night. That's all I watch. Like, people our age, like, you know, friends of mine. I'm like, really? Like, I mean, I don't listen to music when I go to the gym. Like, I don't even put headphones in. So I like being disconnected.
Yeah.
And it keeps me a bit grounded. I worry that if I went too deep into social media and online even more than I am, it would rot my ADHD brain.
Yeah.
You know, and I worry about my son for sure. And it's like, we're going to have to start, you know, he's 5 and, you know, your daughter's 7, but, you know, does she have a phone?
Yeah, well, sort of. No,
Like a dumb phone?
She's got an old phone that I let her play with.
Yeah, the
but
Nokia brick, hey?
Yeah. No, it's like an old iPhone 8 that she just takes photos on and stuff like that. But even that is a thing that it just happened. I didn't even let her have it. I sort of did. And then I got her a phone case for it and it just sits there and like, she's 7. she doesn't have, like, what the fuck has she got a phone for? Like, she doesn't have a phone. Like, she can't call people, but she can go on YouTube Kids. Saves her using my fucking phone. And that sounds like such a spoiled, bad parenting thing, but it's sort of the way. And yeah, trying to navigate that as parents as well. Like, we're just kids trying to be parents, really. Like, we're still learning.
Yeah, well, I remember a quote where it said, "This is your parents' first life as well."
Yeah.
And I was like, you're like, whoa, like my parents were just sort of winging it. And now we're parents. I'm like, I guess we're all winging it, really. Like, we're learning as we go. We're trying to do the right thing. But that quote landed with me for sure because it makes you appreciate your parents when we were kids, and they're navigating a confusing new world as well, like the internet or whatever.
Yeah, it's hard not to get frustrated when, like, my parents will be like, "How do you do this?" And I'm like, "Oh, mate, just fucking give it here. I'll quickly do it for you." But
just look it up on YouTube.
Yeah,
how do I do that?
Mate.
I introduced my dad to ChatGPT on our trip earlier this year, and I was like, "Dad, you got to stop like putting questions into Facebook because the algorithm is destroyed. Like, it's terrible."
Yeah.
So I downloaded ChatGPT, and I was like, "At least you're gonna get like a fairly unbiased answer."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Ask questions here," and so he started doing it, and I was proud. I'm like, I'm changing his views.
Mate, even AI, that's a scary development. Like, I don't know where that. You're right when you said before, people crave that human interaction, so they're always going to want that face to face. They're going to want to come to your place and get a brisket and talk to people. But there's a lot of areas where that AI is going to take over, I think.
Big time. And it's just going to put heaps of people out of work. And so, like, are we going to have some sort of universal income, or are we going to have...
I mean, is that a good thing? I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, if everyone, I mean, we've all heard about the universal income idea, right? Like, if everybody was given the same amount of money, regardless of, they were working, not working, trying to work, not working, would it save money on the bureaucracy that maintains the system? I don't know. I mean, I've heard that argument. I actually have no idea. On the flip side, if there are no jobs because AI is taking them, are we going to let people die in the street? Like, I don't know, man. It is scary shit that's coming.
I thought about this question. Like, what would I do if I was just given a universal basic income? And good thing is, like, I'm lucky.
You wouldn't change. You'd do the same thing as you're doing now.
I'd go to
but you'd probably invested in Bitcoin or something.
Yeah, probably. I go to the gym 4 times a week. I go for a run 3 times a week. When it's summer, I go to the beach. I get out and about.
As long as it's not debt funded, right?
Yeah,
if it's funded by tax from big companies, and if we have a more equitable society, that all sounds great.
Yes.
In theory. Like, is that going to work? I doubt. In application.
And so, and what I'm getting at here is, like, I know what I would do, but I have fear that people would go, well, I don't have to do anything now.
Well, there would be people like that.
Yeah.
And that's like, I don't know if we could control people from having those thoughts anyway. Like, you're going to have issues. So it's either punish them and let them die. Today, you can probably go get a job, man. Like, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm worried about, like, the future, the real future with no jobs.
No jobs, yeah.
But, I know my own personality. Like, I can't sit still. And, if Dawn's disappeared tomorrow and I had nothing, I would be doing something.
Yeah.
And now, starting my business in my 30s has given me more confidence in life than anything I've ever done. And I bet your podcast is the same way.
Yeah.
Because now that, like, if this disappeared tomorrow, man, you could go and start something else and you could work at it and let it grow. Like, I have that faith in myself like I didn't have my 20s or my teens, where you don't know what you're doing with your life. And so I know I wouldn't sit still, and there's a portion of society that wouldn't, but then there's many that would regardlse, I'm sure. And I don't know how you manage that.
Do you find it hard to rest?
Big time, yeah.
I'm struggling with that a bit.
Well, so I'm going through the diagnosis to properly, get on some sort of, DEXI for ADHD.
Yeah.
Because what I've found is when I have used them, I'm good at doing the things I put off, like paperwork. I recently got a medicinal marijuana prescription for THC gummies.
Yeah, okay.
And man, that for someone with ADHD, that changed my life.
Yeah, okay.
Because it slows my brain down at night. I've never smoked pot in my life.
Yeah.
I've never done any drugs in my life.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a pretty boring guy. I drink a bit too much beer, and now I probably drink a bit too much whiskey. But, like, I also am the type who's like, my wife's never seen me drunk.
Yeah.
Like, I have a whiskey every evening, but I'm like, in 10 years, she's seen me drunk at our wedding, and that was it. So I self-control pretty well for someone with ADHD.
Yeah.
But the thing with those that the THC gummy is that, man, it like slows my brain down. Takes 2 hours to kick in. So from 6 to 8, man, I got to bed at like 9 o'clock. I used to get up at 3 a.m. to start the fires. So I still go to bed at like 8:30. And but this just gives me good sleep. Because the issue I have
so THC gummies, is it strong?
10 milligram plus 10 milligram CBD. And so this is funny because like in Canada, when I left 21 years ago, it was illegal. A few years after I left, Alberta, the conservative part of Canada, was the first place to legalize it. And they did it because the revenue from the taxation made sense. And I was like, that's great. Like, just make it, legalize it, tax it, let it become a normal thing. But I'd never done it. And so I went home on that holiday last year, the year before, to Canada, and you could just walk in the shop and buy some. And I was like, oh my God, this is really good. And so it took a while, but I got a prescription here for sleep. Because not that I can't sleep at all, but I have issues with like, unwinding for 2-3 hours. It's all of a sudden it's midnight and you're like, don't look at your phone. Don't look at your phone. You know what I mean? Like I'm an 8 hours kind of, 8 hours a night. I need to work out in the morning kind of guy, or I'm going to struggle with life in general. I got the Whoop about a couple of months ago for my birthday. Grace got me the Whoop, and she got one as well. But we just really only just started looking at tracking our sleep. So what does it do?
Well, it tracks your sleep basically.
The watch does.
Like so your heart rate and what sort of sleep patterns you're in. If you're
so
in
it can
deep
tell
sleep.
from your wrist, like your.
I guess the heart rate. I don't know how it works, but it's got this. You can see that little.
Oh, look at that! That's pretty high tech, man.
Yeah, but I'm like, part of me's going, what's it doing? Like, how's it scanning this shit? Like,
soon we're gonna have this stuff implanted in us.
Well,
like, I had this chat over a beer the other week, and we were talking about technology and phones and how we're still getting. It's like if you could have an implant that basically pinged your phone, like, and it goes, man, you have to eat more protein. This is your calories for the day. Like, slow down on this, and like. My partner and the girls were like, no, I would never do that. That's horrible. And the boys were like, fuck yeah. I just want to be able to know exactly what to do and just manage my body in that way.
I think that's a guy thing. Like, just give me a role, give me a direction, and I'll do it. I think that's what it is.
It's easier than me trying to count calories and manage shit and try and get enough sleep in. And it's like, just, but on the flip side, I'm sure I would hate it. But also, like, I'm also anti-authority. Like, I'm anti-authority. I've been, very much rebellious or rebel against the government of the day type person in general. But with some things, I'm like, man, just hook me up to the matrix and make it easier.
No, this is it. That's the convenience. But I am liking it, and I actually using it more for my runs and see what my zones are for my running. Because I don't know. I just like. I guess I like to have more information and do all that sort of stuff. But yeah, with the sleep, I've noticed. If you have certain foods, if you exercise it later in the day, I'm starting to see those trends. But I'll give it another month to get a real good scope on what.
You notice it more as you get older, right?
The what?
You notice these trends as you get older, because man, I could drink and eat whatever I wanted in my 20s, and now I'm like, man, I stopped drinking beer and started drinking whiskey because like I can have a whiskey and I don't have to wake up and have a piss in the night. Like I don't have like spicy food. I eat the hottest food for the whitest guy you can imagine, and then now I'm like, it makes my stomach upset easier. We're just getting old, man.
Well, I would be interested like what the sleep pattern or the quality of sleep, because it gives you efficiency, gives you time that you need. I think it's the type of sleeps, whether it's REM, deep sleep, light sleep, stress, because your heart rate rises if you're under stress and whatnot. So I would be interested, and you couldn't do it one night. You'd have to do it like 4 nights in a row and then do maybe 4 nights sober. But like smoking or having a gummy before, I wonder what that would do, like if the quality would be changed or not. I know it helps sleep, but...
well, I've never taken a sleeping tablet in my life because I always found like I don't like not being in control as well. So I'm not good at like drugs and alcohol and other things like to excess. But the thing I found with those gummies was apparently your sleep's not as good as normal sleep, but it's better than like
not sleep,
tablet sleep.
Wow,
which is rubbish. Like the one you take on a plane or something. You don't get good quality REM sleep and the rest of it. And so it was that Rogan episode about sleep from the British sleep expert. Best episode ever.
Oh,
and also
loved it. I think I listened to it twice.
Listened to his audiobook. And honestly changed my life because it was like with
Why We Sleep?
Yeah.
Walker?
Yeah, he's English, right? English accent.
Something Walker. I forgot this last time, and I remember I said Paul Walker, and I was like, oh no, he's the actor who died in the car accident. There's something Walker. Yeah.
But it was like those, probably the best thing I've done in the last 5 years is get consistent sleep and go to bed early at the consistent time, which is why I knew that having my daughter, who's 6 weeks old now, coming this year, I wanted to get this. This year for me I've had years where I focus on work. I have years where I focus on fitness. This year was mental health. And for me, it was like, I got to get my diagnosis sorted. I got to get some routines, and otherwise I'm going to spin out. And I have. The last 6 weeks has been very hard with the broken sleep.
Oh, well, that's going to throw things up a bit, yeah.
I think I did well for about 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And my wife's like, go to bed. You're a mess.
Yeah.
Just look after the 5-year-old. Leave me alone. And I'm like, and feed her and look after her. And
Yeah.
All right. I appreciate that.
And again, I think breaking habits and putting in routines, I think they're pretty important, because sometimes we just need something to go, right, well, this is what I'm supposed to do. And eventually it becomes your habit. But mate, you've been on for quite a while, speaking of sleep and go on. Thanks so much for joining us. Is there anything you want to plug before you finish up?
Not really, man. I mean, we sell it every week anyway. It's Big Don Smoked Meats is the restaurant. I'm really proud of it. It's, I think food-wise, you're only going to get it better in Texas and a handful of barbecue joints around the world. It's been very lucky and very humbling for me that Western Australia has supported my business the way it has. I've never felt more at home than living in WA. And, most people ask if I'm American or if I'm Canadian before they assume American. And I appreciate that about you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me on, Cameron. I appreciate it, man.
All good. You know what I was going to ask actually before I finish? Do you get sick of meat?
Oh yeah, for sure. You know what's the funny bit about is like I don't eat less meat. I just eat different kinds of meat. Yeah. I don't eat ribs and brisket, and like I have a little bit to taste it every week, but like, man, I'll throw in a good steak every 2-3 weeks. Like, I love a steak because it's quick. Yeah. It's not a 12-hour low and slow cook. Yeah. I probably eat the same amount of meat as always, but I probably just eat less. I fast more. I don't eat like to the excess I might have 10 or 20 years ago.
Yeah, fasting's fucking awesome, man.
Changed my life,
changing,
right?
Hey?
For the mental side.
Oh, like I got to get back into it a bit more. I only do 24-hour fasts at the moment, but I think next week I'm going to do a 4-day fast.
Wow.
Which that's tough, man.
Just water?
Well, I'm going to do. So, do you know who Tyler Tolman is? Oh, we'll carry on for a second. Tyler Tolman, he's the opposite of me. He's I think he's vegetarian or vegan. But he's retreat in Bali. He's got a lot of health products, but he's got a colon cleanse, and it just gets everything out. Wow. And it's a clay that you have.
Sounds intense.
Yeah, it's like it's a fiber. It's a teaspoon or something you put in your water 5 times a day or something like that, and it just clears everything out for 4 or 5 days. So I'm thinking of doing that. If not, I'll probably just do a 2 or 3 day water fast, bit of salt. But yeah, I have done carnivore. Carnivore's great. But yeah,
well, we have a lot of carnivore fans like online and fans of the restaurant. And the good thing with our barbecue is that we don't add any. The pork ribs have a little sauce, but other than that, all the meat, salt and pepper. There's no sugar. There's very little sauce involved. So it's very carnivore friendly. I've never gone down that route, but I've just found for me that 18 to 20 hour fast is a sweet spot. Yeah. Don't eat after 7. Don't eat till 12, 1 o'clock. Easy. And it's like if I do that and I exercise and I sleep well and I have a little caffeine, it simulates what it feels like to be on a Dexty. That's as good as I can do.
Do you have a coffee or anything in the morning? Or?
Oh, big time. Yeah. I mean, I'm a coffee snob, man. So I have a good coffee. I try and make pretty good coffee at home. Stop at a couple of the good, Modus and Amos and Bayswater. There's a few of the good coffee places near me. I'm a big snob for coffee.
That's my only issue when fasting. If you have to,
but you can have coffee, black coffee, surely.
I have black coffee, or I cheat sometimes, and I'll go and have instant coffee with a dash of milk, and I'm like, it's a little bit of protein. Who cares? But mate, appreciate your time, and mate, we'll have you back anytime because
I really appreciate you having me on. It was good fun. My wife said, I don't know about these guys. When I told her. And I looked at it and I was like, I really like a place that can have a good conversation regardless of who someone is.
Yeah, we barely talk meat. We just talk the world.
And mate, I'd sit down and talk with any vegans. Like, I think people will be surprised how much, all of us get along, right? And have similar interests. But thank you for having me, sir. Appreciate it.
Easy, mate. Next time I'll get Delby on and we can crack a few more jokes. But
easy.
Cheers for that, mate.
Thank you.
Hooroo.